Preserving the biodiversity of our planet and the vast array of life forms that have evolved over millions of years is now widely acknowledged as one of the most vital undertakings of our era. The extinction of species results in the reduction of a biological legacy that possesses immeasurable moral, practical, and scientific significance for future generations. There exist three primary categories of biodiversity: habitat diversity, genetic diversity, and species diversity. The survival of each component is interconnected with the well-being of the other two, and collectively they constitute the overall health of ecosystems. Habitat diversity. Habitat diversity encompasses the assortment of locations where life thrives, such as coral reefs, old-growth forests in the Pacific Northwest of the United States, tallgrass prairie, coastal wetlands, and numerous others. Every distinct category of habitat serves as the dwelling place for a multitude of species, the majority of which rely on that specific habitat for their survival. When it vanishes, a substantial multitude of species also vanish. Frequently, a habitat does not entirely vanish, but rather diminishes progressively until only small fragments persist. This phenomenon has occurred in both old-growth forests and coastal wetlands in the United States, and is currently taking place in tropical forests worldwide. The eradication of all species, save for small fragments of habitat, is particularly detrimental, as it not only eradicates numerous local species, but also endangers those species that rely on extensive land for survival. Genetic diversity. In order to comprehend genetic diversity, it is beneficial to initially elucidate the definition of a population as used by biologists. Take into account the presence of crows in your garden. They constitute a population comprising members of a species that coexist and select mates exclusively from inside the group. The crows within a population have a higher degree of genetic similarity among themselves than to individuals from other populations of the same species. This is mostly due to the infrequent interbreeding between individuals from different populations. While each population within a species possesses distinct genetic information, all individuals across populations share the genetic information that characterizes their species. Essentially, people from one population have the potential to reproduce with individuals from another population of the same species. A species is defined as a group of individuals that have the potential to reproduce with each other. Geographic isolation often prevents interbreeding between individuals of distinct populations within a species. The genetic diversity within a species is mostly determined by the assortment of populations that make up the species. Species that are confined to a single population, such as the Californian condor, typically have lower levels of genetic diversity compared to species that have several populations. Song sparrows, which are distributed across a large part of North America, exist in multiple populations and hence maintain significant genetic variety within the species. Biologists are concerned with the preservation of populations in addition to species due to the distinct genetic information that populations possess. The existence of a species is contingent upon the survival of its population. If only a small number of populations exist, the species will have limited strategies to combat challenges such as global warming. Every population possesses a unique collection of genetic instructions that dictate how the species can potentially adapt to various threats. Species diversity. This is the commonly understood definition of biodiversity. There are around 1.5 million identified species on Earth, but it is acknowledged that several unidentified species also exist, and the overall number is estimated to range between 5 and 15 million. The majority of evidence supporting the existence of multiple unidentified species is derived from research conducted on insects in tropical forests. In these studies, when the uppermost layer of a tropical tree is subjected to fumigation and all deceased insects are gathered, a significant quantity of previously undiscovered insects is often obtained. Tropical rainforests, which occupy less than 2% of the Earth's surface, serve as the exclusive habitat for at least 50 to 90% of all known species on the planet. The greater estimate is derived from the expectation that a significant proportion of the yet-to-be-discovered species will be found in tropical regions, mostly due to the limited extent of biological study in these areas. Over the past few decades, there has been a consistent annual destruction of tropical forests, which are vital for preserving biodiversity. A portion of the forest that is lost, especially in Central and South America, is intentionally burned and subsequently converted into areas for cattle grazing or agricultural cultivation. In Asia, some forests are completely cut down for their timber. In Africa, the harvesting of fuel wood contributes to the rapid rate of deforestation. Between 25% and 50% of the Earth's rainforests have been lost in the past century. Given the current rate of deforestation, the middle of the 21st century will witness the existence of just minuscule remnants of rainforest. Due to the high density of species in tropical regions and their limited geographical distribution, experts predict that tropical deforestation will lead to the extinction of at least 50% of the current species on Earth within the next 75 years. Currently, humanity is causing the extinction of approximately the same number of species during the next 50 to 100 years, as were naturally eradicated every 100 million years. As demonstrated by historical evidence, it only takes a few decades to eradicate numerous species, such as the passenger pigeon, from existence. The possibility of evolution being supplanted by new species being extinct due to deforestation and other human activities is unfathomable in the future millennia. While deforestation in the species-rich tropics is currently causing concern, it is important to remember that deforestation in North America and Europe has also resulted in the destruction of even bigger sections of old-growth forests than in the tropics. Before the Civil War, almost all the hardwood forests in the northeastern United States were completely removed. The trees that have grown on abandoned farms in the last century are an inadequate ecological replacement for what was lost. Clear-cutting in the United States has been causing the destruction of significant old-growth forests, which are among the most important in the world in recent years. The global reaction to this problem has been sluggish and insufficient. During the Rio Conference in 1992, a total of 155 states signed the Convention on Biological Diversity, which was later followed by the signing of the agreement in 1993. The convention aims to safeguard biodiversity by instituting regulations for the utilization of genetic resources and biotechnologies. The signatories of the convention have committed to creating strategies to safeguard biodiversity and to provide reports that will undergo international evaluation. Regrettably, the rules continue to be ambiguous and subject to certain conditions.